Why is it easier to chase a championship than to defend one? The hunter sees a target ahead and thinks only about catching it. The hunted feels every rival behind him and every mistake that could take everything away. Lando Norris's 2024 and 2025 seasons show exactly what happens when the same driver experiences both sides of that pressure. Red Bull opened with dominant wins. Max Verstappen won 4 of the first 5 Grand Prix. And after China, Norris was already 52 points behind. Nobody expected him to challenge across an entire season. He could attack freely, a podium was a success, and the pressure belonged to Red Bull. Then came Miami. Norris benefited from the timing of a safety car, but he did not steal the victory. Once he inherited the lead, Verstappen restarted directly behind him, and Norris drove away. His first win answered the biggest question hanging over his career. It also created a new one. If McLaren could win once, how often should it be winning? At Imola, Norris chased Verstappen to the line and finished less than a second behind. In Canada, he passed into the lead in changing conditions and began pulling away, only for McLaren to miss the best moment to pit under the safety car. In Spain, he took pole, lost the lead at the start, spent too long clearing George Russell, and finished only 2.2 seconds behind Verstappen. None of those races was a collapse. Together, however, they changed the season. Norris was no longer collecting surprise podiums. He was leaving possible victories behind. And every missed chance now came with the same question. How much could those points matter in November? This is where pressure changes shape. Psychologists often distinguish between a challenge state and a threat state. Both produce nerves, adrenaline, and intense focus, but the interpretation is different. A challenge offers something to gain. A threat presents something valuable to lose. The challenger searches for an opportunity. The threatened athlete starts searching for the mistake. Austria was the first time that difference became obvious. A slow Red Bull pit stop placed Norris directly behind Verstappen on fresher tyres. It was the fight he had been waiting for. The champion in range, a fast McLaren underneath him, and a victory available through direct combat. Norris attacked repeatedly, Verstappen defended aggressively, and the tension increased with every lap. Norris exceeded track limits and was facing a penalty. Then they made contact at turn 3. Norris retired, Verstappen limped home 5th, and George Russell inherited the win.
Lando, just sum up how you're feeling right now for me if you can.
I don't know, what is that? It was a mistake-free race from my side, and I feel like I did a good job, but got taken out of the race.
Best in control, let's say like that. And you know, everyone, like I said, they can have their own opinion. Of course, from the outside, like I said, it's easy to judge and comment.
The easy conclusion was that Norris lacked the aggression to fight Verstappen. Austria suggested the opposite. He was so determined to prove he could win the fight that he could no longer accept waiting another lap. The target stopped being finish ahead of Max and became pass him now. Under pressure, the long game disappeared. Silverstone hurt in a different way. Norris led in changing conditions and appeared to have his home race under control. But McLaren delayed a tyre decision and chose soft tyres for the final stint when the medium was available. Lewis Hamilton took the lead. Verstappen passed Norris late, and a possible home victory became 3rd place. Hungary made the pattern more uncomfortable. McLaren locked out the front row, Oscar Piastri led the opening phase, and Norris moved ahead only because the team stopped him first. McLaren then spent lap after lap asking Norris to return the position. He delayed, questioned the order, and eventually slowed to let Piastri through. Norris made the correct decision, but only after turning the final stint into a public argument. He appeared trapped between 2 fears: surrendering a victory and 7 championship points, or disobeying the team and taking a win that the strategy had effectively removed from his teammate. That is what pressure was doing to him. Decisions that should have been instinctive were becoming debate. He was thinking about the championship, the team, the media, and how every action would be judged. The more Norris tried to avoid the wrong choice, the harder it became to make a clean one.
Like I said, I overthink. So as soon as I'm nervous and overthink, I'm like, what happens if I think of the negative things too, you know? I think like, what happens if I mess up the start?
What happens?
What am I going to do then? And like, my starts haven't been good recently. What do I do now? Like, what happens if I miss it again? Or what happens if I make a mistake into turn one?
After the summer break, McLaren was capable of controlling races. Norris proved it at Zandvoort. He lost the lead to Verstappen at the start, recovered, passed him on track, and won by more than 22 seconds. Then Monza repeated the old pattern. McLaren locked out the front row, but Piastri attacked Norris on the opening lap and took the lead at the Della Roggia chicane. Their fight allowed Charles Leclerc to stay close. Ferrari committed to a one-stop strategy, and Leclerc won. Norris finished third after starting from pole in the fastest car. Singapore showed what Norris could do when everything connected. He took pole, led every lap, and won comfortably. The pace of a champion was obvious. The problem was consistency. The title did not require one perfect weekend. It required him to stop losing the weekends around it. By Austin, the fight was no longer only about speed. Norris started from pole but lost the lead on the opening lap. Later, he passed Verstappen outside the track limit and received a penalty that placed him behind his rival. Verstappen understood the championship situation better. He had built a large lead and could afford ugly races. Norris needed major point swings and clean victories. Every contested corner increased the chance that Norris would lose more than Verstappen did. One driver was using the freedom created by 3 championships. The other was learning title management while already inside the title fight. Brazil ended it.
Max, Lando, do not worry about him. Max, Lando, it doesn't matter about Max. My time's against Max. Lando, focus on the car ahead.
Lando Norris off the road!
Norris won the sprint after McLaren moved Piastri aside, then took pole for a wet Grand Prix. Verstappen started 17th. It should have been the day Norris transformed the championship. Instead, Norris and Russell pitted under a virtual safety car while Verstappen stayed out. A later red flag allowed Verstappen to change tyres without the same time loss, but luck does not explain everything that followed. At the restart, Verstappen attacked, took the lead and disappeared. Norris ran wide, lost positions and finished 6th. Verstappen won from 17th. Brazil confirmed every fear that had accumulated since Miami.
I didn't sleep. So my head was like, oh yeah.
Norris was no longer simply reading grip, gaps and tyre temperatures. Part of his attention was reading the one would be judged. That is what choking usually is. It is not cowardice or a lack of talent. It happens when the importance of the result interferes with the processes that normally create the performance. Verstappen clinched the title in Las Vegas with 2 rounds remaining. He finished the season on 437 points, Norris on 374. The 63-point margin makes the fight look less realistic than it felt during the summer. Verstappen had built a huge lead before McLaren became the benchmark, and McLaren had made major strategic mistakes. But Norris also knew that once the opportunity appeared, he had not converted it cleanly enough. Then, Abu Dhabi revealed something important. The driver's title was gone, but McLaren still needed Norris to secure the Constructors' Championship. He took pole, controlled the race, and won under pressure. With the personal championship no longer available to lose, the task became simple again. Win the race in front of him. That victory did not repair 2024, but it showed him what the solution might look like in 2025.
I wouldn't be racing in Formula One. I wouldn't be fighting for a world championship if I didn't believe deep down that I could be the best in the world.
Norris began the next season by winning a wet Australian Grand Prix. Both McLarens ran wide when another shower arrived, but Norris recovered, made the correct tyre call, and held Verstappen behind him to the finish. It was not flawless, and that was exactly why it mattered. Something went wrong, but Norris did not unravel. The old pressure had not disappeared. Piastri won in China while Norris finished second. Verstappen beat both McLarens in Japan. In Saudi Arabia, Norris crashed in Q3, started 10th, and watched Piastri win again to take the championship lead. After Jeddah, Norris identified the problem himself. He said he was putting too much pressure on himself to be perfect, and that the attempt to be perfect was creating the mistakes. He did not need more speed. He needed to stop treating every imperfect lap as proof that the championship was escaping. Piastri's rise unexpectedly helped him. Wins in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Miami and Spain made Piastri the championship leader and the media's new model of calm. He was described as clinical, cold and inevitable, the exact qualities Norris was accused of lacking. The comparison could have crushed Norris. Instead, it returned him to the role that suited him. Piastri had the points, the praise, and something to protect. Norris had someone to chase. And we are also chasing 50,000 subscribers. So if you are enjoying the video, subscribe. It helps a lot. Norris still made a serious mistake in Canada. After starting 7th because of a qualifying error, he recovered and then clipped the rear of Piastri while fighting for 4th. Norris retired, accepted full responsibility, and left the circuit 22 points behind his teammate. It looked like the same story beginning again. The difference appeared 2 weeks later in Austria, where his 2024 fight with Verstappen had ended in contact. Norris took pole, absorbed pressure from Piastri for most of the race, and won. 12 months earlier, he had treated every lap as his final chance. This time, he managed an entire race with a championship rival in DRS range. At Silverstone, Norris won his home Grand Prix after Piastri received a penalty for braking erratically behind the safety car. There was fortune involved, but champions do not reject points because a race was untidy. That sequence showed the change more clearly than any speech could. In 2025, an error remained one event, instead of becoming an identity.
I hate losing. A lot.
I've noticed.
And it's not just like, I'm a bit sad or just, it's like, it can affect me through weeks if I have a bad run of results or I'm struggling in qualifying a race.
At Zandvoort, an oil leak forced him to retire from second near the end of the race. Piastri won and opened a major championship lead. The title now appeared to be a private McLaren fight, and Piastri appeared to control it. For Norris, the growing gap may have created freedom. He no longer had to behave as though he were protecting anything. The public conversation moved toward Piastri, and Norris could chase again. Singapore showed the result. Norris attacked Piastri on the opening lap, touched Verstappen, and banged wheels with his teammate before emerging ahead. It was aggressive, messy, and controversial. Piastri complained, but Norris no longer looked paralysed by the possibility of appearing selfish or choosing incorrectly. He had stopped observing the fight and entered it. Then, Verstappen returned to the championship. Red Bull improved, and the four-time champion won in Baku, dominated Austin, and began cutting into McLaren's advantage. It could have recreated 2024, with both McLaren drivers watching the Predator approach from behind. Instead, Norris produced the run he had been missing the previous year. In Mexico, he took pole and won by more than 30 seconds. Piastri finished 5th, and Norris took the championship lead by 1 point. In Brazil, Norris won the sprint, took pole, and controlled the Grand Prix. Piastri crashed in the sprint and finished 5th in the race. Norris left with a 24-point lead. After Brazil, Norris described his approach simply. Keep his head down, ignore everyone, and keep pushing. He was leading the championship, but he was not talking about protecting the lead. He was studying Verstappen's pace and searching for the next improvement. He had turned himself back into the hunter. Lewis Hamilton has explained why that distinction matters.
Is there a mindset difference between being a hunter and being the hunted?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's easier to hunt. If you're chasing and you make mistakes, you can get away, but if you're leading and you have a car failure, it's just so much more nerve-wracking, I would say.
When leading, he would create a target ahead rather than thinking about all the cars behind waiting for a mistake. The trick is not to deny the pressure, it is to direct attention toward an action instead of an outcome.
Just used to picture me further up ahead, and so I was just chasing myself.
Norris still nearly lost the championship. In Las Vegas, he took pole but overcommitted while defending against Verstappen at the start, ran wide and lost the lead. He recovered to second on the road, only for both McLarens to be disqualified for excessive skid wear.
In Qatar, McLaren failed to pit either car during an early safety car, while most rivals stopped. Verstappen won, Norris finished fourth, and the lead fell to 12 points before Abu Dhabi. 3 drivers arrived at the final race with a chance at the title. Verstappen was 12 points behind Norris, with Piastri another 4 points back. Verstappen took pole, Norris qualified second, and Piastri third. The calculation was simple. Norris had to finish on the podium. At the start, Verstappen stayed ahead. Halfway around the opening lap, Piastri attacked Norris around the outside of turn 9 and took second. He was not volunteering to escort his teammate. Piastri still had his own route to the championship and was trying to win. But the move gave Norris exactly the psychological task he needed. Instead of leading the McLaren challenge with Verstappen ahead and Leclerc in his mirrors, Norris now had Piastri directly in front of him. The teammate who had set the standard for much of the season became a moving reference point. Norris did not need to beat him, he only needed to follow him home in third. It was almost a literal version of Hamilton's technique. Do not imagine the field hunting you down. Place a car ahead and chase it. The race was still tense. Leclerc attacked early. After the pit stops, Norris had to pass Yuki Tsunoda, who defended aggressively and nearly forced him onto the grass. The stewards investigated the incident. A penalty or damaged front wing could have ended the championship. Norris kept control, completed the pass and rebuilt the gap to Leclerc. Verstappen won, Piastri finished second, and Norris crossed the line third, 7 seconds ahead of Leclerc. He became world champion by 2 points. Third place was the most mature drive of Norris's career because he demanded nothing the championship did not require. In Austria in 2024, he tried to win the fight immediately and lost everything. In Abu Dhabi in 2025, he accepted the position he needed and executed it. That is the difference between the 2 seasons. In 2024, Norris received a winning car and immediately felt responsible for every victory it could produce. Opportunity became threat. He treated mistakes as evidence, carried lost races into the next weekend, and tried to force the championship into existence. Verstappen could use that urgency against him. In 2025, Norris spent most of the season chasing Piastri. The points table gave him a visible target. The media attention moved toward his teammate, and Verstappen's late comeback gave him another opponent to pursue. Even when Norris led, he learned to focus on the next action rather than the championship as one enormous object. He did not become colder than Piastri or more ruthless than Verstappen. He became more forgiving of his own imperfection. That allowed each mistake to end with the checkered flag, instead of following him into the next race.